All right, this is part 5, the final part of our songwriting composition series. If you haven't checked out the actual song, do check it out, as well as my first 3 episodes of my thoughts. But this one, I just want to wrap things up by talking about my reflections, what I've learned from this process, and maybe what you can get out of songwriting, and a bit of encouragement for you in your composition as well. Now, first and foremost, I did not set off to come up with a perfect song. That was not the point. My goal was to see how I can spend 2 weeks or thereabouts composing a song, and to develop my skills and to get a bit of experience. And so that perspective has really helped me, not to value the end goal, even though it's great to have a great piece at the end, but really value the process. That's the most important thing I've learnt. And so this whole, reflection thing, without the reflection, well, what am I really learning? It's really the reflection which matters heaps. What else? The other main thing that I've learnt, and we'll be going through, I've got this doc here with a bunch of points, but you can read through it if you want. I'm just going to rattle off a few of the important ones to keep this short. The main thing in terms of being creative and for composing and for getting ideas is you've got to keep your eyes open. This whole composition came as an accident. So the backstory is there was a day when I had to service my car, and so I couldn't drive to work. And I had to walk through the bushes to get to work. And from that bushwalk was when I discovered the scent of the eucalyptus tree. That line became the last line of my song. It became the chorus. And so really, in a way, this whole thing came from me reflecting about my experiences in the summer from the fires, thinking in the perspective of those suffering, thinking in the perspective of the animals who, of the trees, and things like that. And without keeping my eyes open and curious and noticing my surroundings, I would have never come up with this piece. And so creativity really comes from noticing how things are around us. And one thing I want to encourage myself to do more, and yourself as well, if you're interested, is journaling more. Let me just grab my journal. So, this is the work in progress, but my next work in progress. But I've over the last 4 weeks, I've been kind of writing down my ideas a lot more, and that's actually helped heaps. Without writing it down, it's never. We tend to forget ideas. So having written ideas is such a great habit, and I want to keep that habit up, because you need a collection of ideas before anything kind of happens. And so this was a great little addition, and I would highly encourage you guys to journal or to just write down things. It's going to inspire your compositions so much. Whether it's songwriting or creative writing or whatever it is, or artworks, just having things down and composing and producing frequently is super important. I want to go through things that I liked about this project. I already said that it was eye-opening. The fact that it was a song that meant a fair bit to me. It made it authentic. It meant that it wasn't just an assignment I did to pass a certain test, but really I cared a lot about this song. Maybe not too much, but it was genuine to me. It was about the experiences I had. And so in my song, I often started with things like, I saw this, just as an inspiration for the lyrics. And that helped because it helped make it sound real. But it also means that others can't be like, oh, your ideas are silly, because it's things that you saw. It's your witness. And it's kind of nice and personal. So I thought that was cool. What did I dislike about this? All right, I learned so much about myself. I learned about my procrastinating ways, about my bad time management. That was the hardest thing. Really forcing myself to compose when I didn't feel like it was super, super hard. And it's something I'm still trying to figure out how to do, because I'm sure you guys as students will go through it all the time. If you are students of Turramurra High School, just you've got an assignment, you don't feel like doing it, and you'd much rather not do it. And sometimes, you need to figure out a game plan. One more thing I want to talk about with things that worked was I used structures to help me. So I wasn't feeling motivated. The only way I got through this song was by breaking down this big daunting task into small manageable chunks. I told myself, all right, there's only 4 lines of lyrics in each verse. So if I write 4 lines of text, I've kind of got a verse already. Within that, the 4-line verse, my first 2 lines and second 2 lines rhyme. So it's an A-A-B-B rhyming structure. And that helped because if I came up with a 1 line, then I've got an idea of how the second line should sound and I can work within those parameters. I also designed the story first. So I said verse 1 is going to be about holiday makers. Verse 2 is going to be about the summer and the fires, and so on. So I had a game plan, and by breaking down and into manageable chunks, it made it a lot more manageable. Certainly wasn't easy, but it meant that I knew if I had an hour, I could write at least 4 lines. Whether they were good or not is not the end point. It's about getting those on the page. And once you start getting things on the page, it's much less daunting than a blank canvas. So certainly, impress that upon you guys. Get started with composition, and it's usually less daunting than when you don't have anything on the page and everything's in your head. So that was good. I'm just going to make one last point. Based on the last one, it only takes a few sparks before you're up and running. So for my comp, it happened as an accident. But, for me, it was the summer and the experience, which made it very personal to me. But it was the walk in the bush where it really kind of sparked an interest to write about that. And from there, it took about 3 hours of hard work, I would say. I was thinking through it a lot. So when I was just driving around, getting places, I would be thinking about the lyrics and thinking about where the song would go. But in terms of hard work and research and, searching up synonyms and rhymes and definitions and stuff like that, it took about 3 hours of hard work to churn out the song. So it's not heaps, but there's a lot of thinking that has to happen. So my final word I want to say is stay creative. Get into a creative habit, a curious habit. Start wondering lots, start playing with possibilities lots, and when you have a creative mindset, these songs will basically write themselves. The most prolific writers, songwriters, they churn out songs, just based on everyday stories. I used to be a big Taylor Swift fan, and really, she would just pen words when she's traveling from one city to another. And songs would just appear based on her experiences and things. And sometimes when you've got a creative mind, songs just write themselves. I've got the wheel here. I would say I've grown a lot in empathy. This project has put me in a student's shoes. I've given myself a hard and fast deadline, and even though I'm not really happy with this final product of a song, within those 2 weeks, I'm pretty, I've learned so much from there. And so I've certainly learned a lot. And yeah, grit is still something I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to work out how to motivate myself when I'm not motivated. And I know students go through that all the time. You're given an assignment that you don't want to do. How are you going to get it done? It takes grit, and it takes a sort of a headspace or a plan. I'm still trying to work that out. But thanks for following this composition journey of mine. And I hope it was helpful for you to get a glimpse of what it's like composing. Do write your own music. Let me know if you've got some stuff that you've written, because it's a great thing to be able to voice your own songs. Anyway, thanks for following. This is certainly not my last composition. I've got ones cooking up in my little journal right here. So I look forward to catching you guys in the next composition. Thanks for sticking with us.